There are people who still don't know that content creation is a full-time job, and there are people who don't believe that content creation is a full-time job. Like if you tell them all you do is shoot videos, they don't believe that it is something that should be called a full-time job the way that a 9 to 5 is called a full-time job. When I started creating content for YouTube, I always like to use YouTube as the example because YouTube is a platform where you create long-form content, meaning you have to plan your content, you have to ideate, you have to think of what you're going to make content about, and you have to script, you have to now make the content, then you're going to edit. If you don't have an editor to do the work for you, you have to be the one editing, you have to be the one posting, you have to be the one tracking the analytics, you have to be the one literally running everything. I started my YouTube channel when I had a 9 to 5, and I live in an African country. It wasn't even a 9 to 5. I usually had to be at work before 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we closed from work by 7 p.m. in the evening. So it was more like a 9 to 7. I was gone all day. I was gone from morning till night. But when I came back from the office, I did things little by little in terms of working towards my YouTube channel, working towards growing on YouTube, working towards sharing my own personal content on YouTube. I did all of that after work, and I'm going to make a few videos where I explain the entire process and the entire strategy and system. I didn't even have a system then, but there were certain things I did that made it easier for me to actually make the videos, have the channel, and get a little work done after I came back. And if you don't think that it is bad being gone all day and then coming back in the night to start shooting content, I'm talking about when I get, if you've lived in Lagos, you know what I'm talking about, traffic after work and all of that. So I'll be at work 9 and then come back. We were supposed to close by 7, but sometimes I'll close by 7, and before I got home it would be 9 p.m, 10 p.m. There was a day that I got home by 12 a.m. the next day because of how bad the traffic was. So these are the kinds of things that I was dealing with, but I was still able to put out content consistently. There were times where I put out content once a week, sometimes several times a week, and the only difference is that back then I was still a newbie to the whole thing. I was still learning about YouTube, learning how to establish some things. I was still learning what type of content my audience liked. So I didn't have a certain type of content I was posting. It was beauty, but it was hair care, how to style your hair, how to braid, how to install lashes, how to wear contacts. I even did a few videos collaborating with my friends. I did some get to know me. So it was just a bunch of random videos, but videos went out every single week. Back then, I didn't have lights, I didn't have a microphone, I didn't have a quiet environment because I was actually squatting in someone's house, very tiny room. But I found a way to make these things work. And the reason I'm making this video today is because a lot of the times when we start saying we cannot make the content creation thing work, we give excuses like we don't have a good phone, we give excuses like we don't have microphone. I'm making this video right now without a microphone to prove to you that you can actually make a sit-down video like this without a microphone. If your video is more, or if your content style is more of hands-on demonstration, you can make the video and then you can do a voiceover when everywhere is quiet. Most likely you will have to wait until maybe night when everybody's asleep or when the noise has reduced substantially before you can do your voiceover. But there are ways around these things. If you go to my main channel is Eviogban, go to the oldest video. The oldest videos were shot on my Infinix Hot 6. I started creating content in 2018 October. That's when I started posting on YouTube. Infinix Hot 6 is what I used for about a year plus. So imagine creating content on an Android phone, and I used to use the front camera because I needed to see what I was doing. I didn't have all these gadgets that made it easier for me to use the back camera. Now I'm using an iPhone to shoot this, and I'm shooting with my front camera. I have a light at the back. When I started, I didn't have any lights at the back, but I still made my content. So the reason I'm shooting this content right now in this setting, this is like, this is not the best quality, but I'm going to edit it and it will look a little better, is to prove to you that you can actually get these things done. I'm shooting this content very early in the morning before I go to the gym. I'm literally ready to go to the gym. My bag is there and I'm supposed to have been out, but I wanted to take 10 minutes and make this video. There are ways around these things. If you have a 9 to 5 and you want to get content creation started, even if you have a content idea for a channel, you don't have to make it so extravagant. You don't have to make the entire filming process, the scripting, the ideating, the editing so extravagant. If you make it too much, you won't be able to keep up and you won't be able to be consistent. And before you know what's happening, you've given up before you even started. And giving up before we start is one thing we try very hard to avoid, at least in the initial stages. Pick a format of content that will allow you post consistently. Pick a format that will be easy for you, especially if you have a 9 to 5. So what did I do? I was creating content when I came back from work. So while I was at work, I didn't make the YouTube thing consume my entire work time, but I found time to explore little ideas in my niche. Just found out what other people were creating, found out what was working well on YouTube, found out what ideas I had that I wanted to turn into content. Then I will come up with some sort of draft script for these ideas so that I know that I have done some work for the content. Then when I get back home, I would, some days, if I was not setting out materials and filming on the same day, then I'll pick one day, set out the materials. Back then, things like rice water used to trend. So for the days where I had to do maybe rice water, things like rice water require you to soak it for a while. So you don't make the entire thing and then use it right there and then. You have to soak it for maybe a few hours. Some days I'll just soak the rice water. Then I know that the next day I'm going to shoot the content. And also you have to understand that hair content require demonstration. So I was demonstrating all these things on my own head. Back then I also used to do chebe powder. These are the very tedious hair treatments that require a lot of time. Chebe powder has to be in your hair for like several weeks at a time. That's what I did. So I had to find a way to split these different activities into days, and you can do that too. There is no rule in the book that says you have to squeeze everything and do it the day that you come back from work. You are now burnt out from your job, burnt out. You can't even post the content that you've spent a little time working on. So break everything down. I always like to give people like a 6-day, in fact 7-day framework for content. Normally you're supposed to ideate, you're supposed to plan. Okay, let's say yes, ideate first because you come up with the ideas, then you plan, then you script if you're gonna script, then you film, then you edit, then you upload, and then you track, right? So you can spend, there are 7 days of the week. So some people try to squeeze all these things into one day. They try to ideate, plan, film, script, edit, everything in one day. In fact, in 1 hour. It doesn't work like that. If you're just starting out, you have a job already that's taking up a lot of your time. You don't want to underperform at your job, but you still want to show up for your own personal content. Just break everything down. Some days script, some days ideate, some days you film the content, then you set out one small portion of the day to edit the content, and then you upload, then you track, and then you repeat the entire process. And as you do it, you realize that you're not even going to be spending every single day doing one activity. There will come a time where you're able to do maybe 2-3 activities. So maybe you can ideate, you can plan, you can script, you can do all of that in one day, and then you can film in another day. Then you spend the next day editing, and then you upload, you set all the things that need to be set, the title, the thumbnail, and then you take it out of the way. So there are ways around these things. The biggest problem for a lot of people is the excuses. I need people to stop making excuses. When I started creating content, it was video format I was outperforming every other format. Now we have so many other formats of content that you can explore. My current favorite format that I'm exploring is writing, that's storytelling via text, and I'm doing this as a medium of building trust, better trust with my audience. I have posted video content since 2018. I've posted hair content since 2018, and I'm not even gonna lie, I have gotten tired of posting hair content. Like, now this is what my hair looks like. In fact, if I can leave my hair like this without touching it, I'm good. So me, I have built a lot of credibility. I've built a lot of trust. I have done all manner of things when it comes to hair content. There's just a few things that I haven't tried yet, but I have the proof of it. I have an archive of content that people can go and look at and see the growth, see the progression. I have also taught people how to grow their hair. I have taught people how to do it from home. I've taught people how to buy products. I've taught people how to use videos to grow hair. I've given them tips. I've given them trips. I've taught classes. I've taught workshops. So I have done a lot of things with hair content, and I have been tired of hair content since around 2024. We're in 2026, and I'm literally just now backing away from posting hair content that is why I had to find a format that will allow me to story tell without necessarily serving the kind of tasking content that I've been serving over the years. So this storytelling allows me to share my own lived experience growing my hair, and these are stories that I have never shared before. So that's an entire format of content on its own, and very few people, even now that experts are writing up and down, we have not yet maximized storytelling by writing content. So you don't have to wait until you have the perfect setup, because this is what people like to do. They just say they are waiting for a good phone before they can start creating content. And once you start telling yourself they are waiting for a good phone, how much time is going to pass before you can get a good phone? Before you even get the money for the phone, if your job is not going to allow you get the phone fast, then your content is going to push you. But if you don't allow your content to push you by starting with what you have, then time is going to pass and leave you, and you are not going to get anything done. When it comes to this time is going to pass anyway thing, I like to use the example of my 100 days of content challenges. I have done 200 days of content challenges. I've done one on my main YouTube channel. We did 100 days of long form video, meaning we posted one long form every day for 100 days. Now I am rounding up a 100 days of short form, where I am posting one short form video across 4 platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, every day for 100 days. This is the content challenge that I'm using to launch this creator economy education niche, right? And even on YouTube here, we have had our latest video perform slightly better than others. So if I was waiting until I had everything in place, if I was waiting until I had the perfect ideas before I got the new creator economy education niche started, the 100 days that I just finished posting content, that time would have passed and I would not have started. Because I remember when I wanted to start the 100 days of short form, I had not finished my 100 days of long form on the main channel. So I was debating whether I should just go ahead and start the 100 days of short form and then join everything together. But then I realized it would be too much work, so I had to just finish the long form challenge and then start the short form challenge. And even then, I did not allow too much time pass, right? So as soon as I was done with the long form, I think I gave myself just 1 week break, and then I finished the long form around May, was it May, early May, and I started the short form challenge like May 10th. I just told myself May 10th we're starting, whether we are ready or not. And I filmed 1 to 3 videos and then started with those. No plan, no structure, but I told myself as we progress, we are going to restructure, we're going to re-strategize. At least we have an idea. We know where we want to begin. So let's start from there and then let's go from there. So there are ways around these things. You don't wait until you have everything down. When I started creating content, the phone I was using, that Infinix Hot 6, if I turn my back like this, the lights would become so bright, like overexposed. There were so many issues, but I worked with what I had. I learned that, okay, if I turn my back, the light becomes overexposed. So even if I'm turning my head, there's a way I can turn my head and stop that the overexposure will happen. So little things, there are ways around these things. I have to go now, but oh my god, I really wanted to just come here and talk a little about this. I will expand on it, but I hope you find this video helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are still growing here. If you are looking for my main channel is Evil. I talk about all things hair care and teach you how to grow your hair. Right, so thank you for watching. See you in the next one.